Unemployment rises under the PLP, but the Deputy Prime Minister says he has his doubts about that. This as the DNA hits out at government for failing Bahamians and relying too heavily on foreign investments. Plus, the hotel union continues to protest gratuity cuts at the Malia Resort. And the newest cabinet ministers are sworn in. We've got those stories and more coming up tonight. I'm Dana Smith, and NB12 starts right now. Thanks for joining us. An analysis of jobs figures showed the country's unemployment rate is higher now than when the Progressive Liberal Party took office in May 2012. The unemployment rate was 14.7% back then. Meantime, the latest labor force survey released last week shows unemployment rose to 15.7% as of November 2014. However, Deputy Prime Minister Philip Brave Davis says he doubts that fact and dismissed the suggestion that value-added tax might have a negative impact on employment. Vonnie Toot reports.
Though he acknowledged that the level of joblessness in the country is disappointing, Deputy Prime Minister Philip Davis says he doubts the unemployment rate is higher today than it was when the Progressive Liberal Party took office back in May 2012. He also dismissed the suggestion by the Department of Statistics that the recent implementation of value-added tax could affect employment going forward. The unemployment rate increased to 15.7% in November 2014. That's 1% higher than it was back in May 2012 when unemployment stood at 14.7%. However, Davis questions that fact.
I'm not sure about that. We'll have to just look at it. I doubt it. In my own mind, I doubt that. And I will just have to look at the numbers.
According to the labor survey released last week, unemployment in New Providence increased to 16%, while Grand Bahama's unemployment rate jumped to 18.6%. Deputy Director of Statistics Leona Wilson told reporters last week that VAT implementation may have a negative impact on employment if businesses fail to adjust to the controversial tax and are forced to lay off staff. However, Davis disagrees.
I don't embrace that thought at all. I think once properly applied, and if we as citizens of the country are true to good business practices and recognize the economy we're in, I don't think properly applied it ought not to have the impact that it said it's going to be having.
Minister of State for Finance Michael Halkitis admits government is disappointed in the rise in unemployment. He says though more jobs have been added to our economy, even more people have joined the labor force.
If we look back from May 2014 to November, what has happened is there were approximately 500 new jobs created, but unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, but we had more people added to the workforce. And so if we look back even from May 2012, we've had an additional 12,000 or so people join the workforce, but just over 8,800 new jobs created. So what that means is jobs are being created, but more people are joining the workforce.
However, Halkitis says there is hope in 2015, pointing to the jobs expected to be created with this year's opening of the Baha Mar development.
Of course, it's not good news, but we look forward 2015 with optimism. We have the opening of the Baha Mar project within approximately 3 months, which will create several thousand new jobs. So we're optimistic that the picture will turn around.
What is encouraging to me is that discouraged workers are finding confidence in what we are doing, and therefore that number is shrinking.
Opposition leader Dr. Hubert Minnis has dismissed that explanation, insisting the latest jobs figures reflects the Christie administration's inability to create jobs. Reporting for NB12, I'm Vonnie Toot.
Leaders of the Democratic National Alliance are also speaking out about the recent statistics indicating unemployment is up nationally. DNA leader Branville McCartney says the PLP government is failing its people and is depending too heavily on foreign investment projects like the Baha Mar Resort. Jasmine Brown has more in this report.
The DNA leader says those recently released statistics prove more than just the fact that unemployment is up. They also prove that the Christie administration has failed to meet its mandate of creating more jobs for Bahamians.
Ain't nothing working. The government is in reverse. The leadership has gone out to lunch and never came back.
McCartney accused the government of being asleep at the wheel, saying it has failed to come up with proper solutions to the unemployment issue. And the rise in unemployment comes at the worst possible time, says DNA Chairman Andrew Wilson.
Unemployment will increase as a result of value-added tax.
The latest labor force survey results indicate the unemployment rate increased from 14.3% in May 2014 to 15.7% in November 2014. Since May 2012, 8,850 net jobs were added to the economy, according to the report. Deputy Prime Minister Philip Davis has said the government will create 10,000 jobs by the end of its term. On the campaign trail in 2012, he had promised 10,000 jobs in the immediate future.
Please. We saw the report that unemployment is up.
Prime Minister Perry Christie recently projected that his administration will make a, quote, substantial, strong impact on unemployment in 2015. The opening of the $2.6 billion Baha Mar Resort this year is expected to create 5,000 new permanent jobs and hundreds of additional indirect jobs and entrepreneurial opportunities outside the resort. But McCartney insisted the government should not rely solely on the mega resort.
It seems as if Baha Mar is a saving grace. The government is dependent. Look at what we have. We have a government that's dependent on a foreign entity to give them jobs. News break, people. Baha Mar ain't gonna help you. 8,000 jobs ain't gonna help you. We got 5,000 new jobs. By the way, coming out in a couple more months, 5,000 more people looking for jobs. So 8,000 jobs.
The DNA leader is not the only person to criticize the government over the recent unemployment numbers. Over the weekend, opposition leader Dr. Hubert Minnis said the rise in unemployment nationally reflects the government's inability to create jobs. Reporting for NB12, I'm Jasmine Brown.
The ongoing dispute between the Malia Resort and its employees over the removal of automatic gratuity continues, with the labor minister today calling the hotel union's actions warranted and the union revealing plans to write to the minister concerning a possible strike poll. Dozens of unionists gathered outside the Labor Department this morning after meeting with hotel and government officials. Hotel Union President Nicole Martin said talks have gone nowhere and the union will not put up with what she called the hotel's blatant disrespect and disregard.
This was the second meeting and we've gotten nowhere because the company has blatant disrespect and blatant disregard for anything that existed prior to them coming in. So we are going to write to the minister to have a strike vote poll taken, and we know that we can call on our over 6,000 members to help us in any legal action. And so we're going to call on our people because I think you don't take out the belt and spank them and beat them. They ain't listening, so they need another course of action.
Union members are up in arms over a decision by Baha Mar officials to remove an automatic 15% gratuity from the food and beverage bill of some Malia hotel guests. The decision was handed down on December 10th, prompting the union to file a trade dispute with the Labor Department. Baha Mar Director of Public Relations Paul Turnquist said last week employees' gratuities will be held in escrow until the union and the resort negotiate a new agreement. The union has been in talks with the Labor Department and Malia officials to arrive at some conclusion over the issue. NB12 caught up with Labor Minister Shane Gibson this morning before the union's comments outside the Labor Department. He said he didn't know enough about the gratuities matter to comment on that, but when asked, he said he believes the union's actions are warranted and the union is doing a good job defending its members.
I don't have the details. Based on what I know, unions are supposed to defend their members, right? And so it's not a question of whether or not it's warranted. You know, they're defending their members. But I mean, in this case, I can, you know, in every case when they defend their members, it's warranted. Because I'm saying people, it's like a lawyer. If you hire a lawyer, you hire them to defend you. You don't hire them to work against you. And so you can't say a lawyer's action is unwarranted. You can never say a union's action is unwarranted. Whenever a union defends their members, the actions are warranted.
Last month, Baha Mar obtained an injunction in the Supreme Court preventing the union or employees from taking industrial action. Martin said the union is working to get that injunction lifted. She explained today the union won't be stopped. When asked if any action will be seen in the coming weeks, Martin said,
I think you've been around long enough to know. Mommy say you keep some and you talk some. Hello? So I can't tell you everything.
When asked what's the holdup in negotiations between employees and the Malia Hotel, Baha Mar Senior Vice President of Administration and External Affairs, Robert Sandy Sands, explained the union wants the hotel to continue to pay gratuities at the old formula, which he said doesn't work with Malia's new all-inclusive format. However, Sands added hotel officials are prepared, willing, and able to negotiate the issue to resolve the matter. At the Labor Department this morning, the hotel union was joined by a few of its affiliate unions who voiced concerns of their own and spoke of a potential national strike.
This situation is unacceptable, and I see Sandy Sands was there this morning, and you know he has to come in and he has to bring some resolve to the situation, because I mean it's silly really.
If you march the toe of one of the affiliates of the Congress, then you march them all. We're here today to show solidarity to the government because it appears as if all unions are having big issues that can't be solved. It appears that we're on the heels of a national strike.
Well, at some point, we're going to call for a national strike. And this isn't a play strike. This is where we're going to have to shut this country down in order for this government, in order for any government, in order for employers to understand that workers are the basis on which this country is built.
Former majority owner of the Grand Bahama Port Authority and group of companies, Sir Jack Hayward, passed away today at the age of 91. The businessman and philanthropist is also former owner of the Wolverhampton Wanderers, a professional English football club. In a statement, Prime Minister Perry Christie said he is deeply saddened to learn of Sir Jack's passing, calling him the single most important figure behind the economic development of the city of Freeport post-independence. Christie said Sir Jack was a colorful, larger-than-life personality who was held in great affection by the Bahamian people and successive governments. Christie said through good times and in bad, Sir Jack remained steadfast in his loyalty to the nation's second city and never lost faith in its future. Back in 2010, Sir Jack was involved in a bitter legal battle with his children and grandchildren over his fortune, which is estimated at more than $200 million. One of 3 public high schools on Grand Bahama is named in his honor. Sir Jack, who had reportedly been ill for several months, died in Fort Lauderdale, Florida.